So I will quickly introduce you some of the features of Dart language. So you will not be feeling isolated about like how I'm writing and what I'm writing. And then we will see the environment setup. So if you have noticed, I have like written down the environment setup just after the Dart in action. Because for Dart, I will be using an online platform for showing you some of the code snippets. Okay. And then we will start with the Flutter in action. The reason behind I'm not like asking you on this webinar is not asking you to sit with your laptop setup ready, because the environment setup for working on Flutter is quite heavier. It takes like 3 to 4 GB approximately, including your emulator or your VS code if you are using it, or Android Studio. So there are various things. I will explain each and everything step by step. So after this session, you can just quickly start with it. And I hope you will like it, because if you will like it, then only you're going to start. And then I will share some resources with you, like along with the presentation which I'm going. And after, in the last of the session, we will have questionnaires. So if you have questions, please write down those questions in the chat window, which is there. And please try to be relevant with your questions. So if you will directly jump onto the programming or logic questions, that will not make any mean here, because that's up to you. You have to try those things. But anything related to architecture or why Dart, all these questions we will I will try to answer. Okay, so what is Flutter? So Flutter is basically open sourced mobile SDK, and it's a framework for creating native apps. So what you have to notice here is that I'm saying for native apps, okay, for iOS and Android. When I will explain the comparisons with other technologies or tools with you, this point will make a more sense later on, because Flutter is introduced by Google first of all, and Google is the one who also introduced the Angular. You must be knowing it, right? So this is open sourced, and Flutter is used for creating mobile application. Now you may have questions like, can I use Flutter for other apps like desktop or other? That we will see later in this section as well. So now, as I told you in the beginning, that this is written into Dart language. So what I mean is, here when you have used Angular or React.js, we generally use JavaScript or TypeScript, right? But this is using Dart, and Dart is another programming language. That's not a scripting language, I would say to you. And the reason behind is that when we create apps from other platforms or tools like Ionic, React Native, you have heard about it probably, then those uses JavaScript or React or TypeScript. But this is using a proper programming language, which is Dart. And that's why we are able to achieve the native apps from this. Now, the third line, which is really, really important, is that write once, use for multiple devices. What I mean is that if we come along with the first point, which says creating native apps for iOS and Android, it means is that I don't have to write code for two devices, two separate devices, like one for Android and one for iOS. What I can do is like I will write the code once, okay? I will not write platform dependent code like for Android or iOS. I will write it in Dart language, and that will work in multiple devices. I will write code once, I will build it, and I will be able to generate two files with that, one for iOS and one for Android. So that's why I've written write once and use for multiple devices. So it means you're writing your code once and you're able to run that app or deploy that app for two platforms. And this is, I don't know how much you understand this thing, but this is really important in the term of when we come to into organizations, right? Because they always take care about a lot of things apart from just the development, because there are lots of things we have to think about the time, we have to think about the efforts, how many developers are going to do these things. So suppose if I have to, if the client has the requirement for two devices, like he wants the app for Android and iOS, then should I be like hiring two developers, one for iOS and Android, and they are doing almost the similar work but for different platform. But with this, I just need only one developer. He will write the code for one device and it will work for both, right? So this is a huge benefit for this. So now let's go with the official documentation of the Dart. Dart is a client optimized programming language for apps on multiple platforms. So when I said to you like it is just for the desktop or mobile, so it is basically also developed by Google and used for build mobile, desktop, server and web applications as well. So Dart is not just meant to be built for Flutter. It's a programming language itself, okay? And you can use it like the other programming languages like Java, okay? So in the same way, it says that Dart is a object-oriented, class-based, garbage collected language with C style syntax. So if you have learned about the C language, you can get to know that the style of this is kind of a C language. I will show you the code of this and you will be feeling so much familiar if you have like worked with C. And Dart can compile to either native code or JavaScript as well. Okay, and this is the logo for Dart, right? And now you will probably ask like how many people are using Flutter for creating or have already been used by very good companies or not. Then I would say that lots of good companies are using it, and Flutter is one of the, I would say, the technology which gain interest very quickly. Okay, it was not like that. It just came in and it was roaming around, but it really did the impact. Okay, so if I skip this part, so Flutter, Google already started this in 2015 with the beta version, but they have open sourced in 2018, and at this moment we are in 2020. So this Flutter already gained so much of interest from the developers like us. So it got the rank of top 15
मेरे
into
पास
the
शो हो
top
रहा है
ranked or
जब
top
पीए
like
लिखा रहा है उसके
start
लिए बोल रही हूँ
GitHub
ना
repositories, and that's a like big mark. Okay, let's come back to the example who is using this. So there are lots of companies who are already using this, like the realtor.com, one of the BMW, eBay, and Google Assistant. If you have used it, this is really like highly intelligent device or app you can say, and the New York Times as well. So they are frequently using the Flutter technology, and I've just mentioned few of them. There are lots of other companies who are frequently using, and even in Sapient where I'm working right now, there have been a seminar on Flutter, and it was the global seminar, and it was like it was on boom right now. So that's why we are doing it. The main reason behind this is as well because this is the current standard in the industry, and it's not going to be obsolete in like lots of coming years as well. So now let's jump to Flutter features. So my purpose of, let me present again. Sorry about it. So why we are talking about Flutter and how it is like competitive with other solutions, right? So there are three core features they say about or they talk about that. Mm, okay, yeah. Let me hide it. Okay. So these three features are given by them, okay, and they make a lot of sense to me, and it will give you a lot of sense to you as well, because these three small points are really big actually. The fast development, first I said like we have to write code once and we can use it for other platforms, and the fast development is because the IDE which we use, the IDE, or you can say the like the editor we use is the Android Studio, and it is like giving lots of features to us, lots of features we don't have to remember anything, it is giving us the capability to just hit a space, and it will give you lots of options to be directly used in your code. So coding wise, you don't have to wait or search for the resources. You can just directly jump into editor and you can use the features. The second thing is expressive and flexible UI. This is the main concern for every mobile application, because what clients want or what we want is that the app should be really attractive, right? We should be like really liking this app, because if the color and the elements are like so boring, we will not be using that app again, even if it is like so good. So this is another concern, because they have already integrated the material UI. So if you don't know about the material UI, you probably need to Google it, because this is going to be come into your picture a lot of times when you will start your job or you have already started. So material UI is one of the main standard when we talk about creating the UI or UX of any application, whether it is a mobile or a web or anything. So that's a framework. Okay. And now native performance. So this is the third point, which is really important as well, because if you don't know what is native or hybrid or maybe the web view, I would introduce this thing with you. Native is like a mobile native app is means that it is able to access your whole mobile devices or whole functioning as well. Like if you have used your mobile camera or vibration, these are native features of the mobile. We can use these with the other platforms like Ionic or React Native, but these are basically the main benchmarks for these things. So native performance is like you will be you will not be getting any like web view or maybe the hybrid approach of this. It will work as a native app like the one you use in your mobile. Like suppose you're using your mobile camera or maybe any payment app. Those are all very secure and directly connected with your internal structure of your mobile, right? I'm not going too much deep, but native is like the one which we frequently use from bigger companies. So there is no lag, there is no like issues while using scrolling. If you have encountered these things in other apps, they are probably not the native apps. Now, like as I was telling you the comparison, so there are two other things which we can compare when we talk about Flutter. So these are React Native and Ionic. Ionic is one of the best thing. I have worked a lot on it, and one of my colleague is also joined in this seminar. Vinod, he has also worked, and we created apps for Cisco, and that was very frequently used app. Okay, the performance was really good, but I would tell you if I would be using React Native could be the best choice, or Flutter because Flutter was not there at that time. So Flutter is also one of the best option. Now, when we compare these things, and I'm comparing it because of you, because if you will go somewhere, if you will go in your interview or if you will introduce someone that Flutter is good, they will probably give you the example why not React Native or Ionic. Then here are the differences why it's not. Because Flutter's performance is definitely the best out of these two. Then we talk about the UI, because I have already told you that material UI is already integrated, so you don't have to bother about like how it is looking and look and feel, colors, animations, responsiveness, everything is automatically handled with Flutter. You just directly go there and use it. The third thing is widgets and plugins. Now this thing we will understand when I will start with the coding with the Flutter in this session. Widgets are like components. Okay, so if you have read about React or Angular, you have probably know the concept of components. So the same way widgets are there, but when we are talking about the mobile, we talk at widgets. Okay, we talk about or we say them widgets. They are like behaving the same, but the structure is a bit different. Then we have plugins. So Flutter already giving us lots of plugins. So we don't have to like roam around as we roam around when we work with Ionic. So for Ionic, if you have to let's take an example. If you have to click a button and send an email to someone, we have to install a plugin for that. So we have to search in Ionic directory, plugins directory, and we install it with the npm or yarn, and then we use it. But with Flutter, lots of plugins are automatically installed, so you can just directly go there and use it. Then the fourth point is rendering engine. The rendering is a different concept, I would say, and it's really important for the performance, for like your look and feel, your experience with the app, your speed up with the app. These all things depends on the rendering engine. Because if you have time, you can like go to Chrome and you can search about like Chrome rendering engine. You will get to know a lot of things like React rendering as well. So this is one of the Google is using one of the best rendering engine. I will not go into too much detail, but you can like state it that it is one of the core feature of this. And the last one we cannot argue about is like it is built by Google, right? So if it is from Google, definitely it is going to be the best. And when they work on something, they try to like minimize all the efforts, whether it is Fireways for an example, or whether it is like Google Maps. You can pick up any product from Google, and they try to minimize the efforts from other people like us, like the developers. So they try to give everything which is possible, and we can just quickly start with, right? So when I was talking about widgets, right? So if you can see here, this is a animation GIF I took from Google. So what it says is that if you see, there is a header right at the left, which is in the motion. So there is a catalog header. Then we have basket. Then we have all buttons, right? These all things are individual widgets. Okay, this is not a whole UI right now. This is not an HTML page or a mobile view for whole. This individual thing is a widget, whether it is a button, whether it is an icon or the hamburger button, anything, the back button, the text boxes, everything is a widget. And then we make a tree out of it. So if you see, this my app is the bigger widget. Then we have three categorization of this: my login screen, my catalog, and my cart. And inside these I have lots of other widgets as well. So this is basically the tree structure of a standard mobile application in the Flutter, right? So when we like talk about how we are going to structure our UX or our UI element or UX, then we talk in the form of widgets uh, when we talk about Flutter, right? I think this is the last slide for the theoretical things that we had to discuss about Flutter. I have quickly introduced you about what is Flutter. Okay, let's go through very quickly so you will not forget it. The what we discuss is like, what is Flutter. Flutter is used for mobile application development. It's a framework from Google. It is open source, so you don't have to pay, or your company don't have to pay anything. And that's really that matters a lot. We just generally ignore this thing that it is open source, but there are a lot of efforts, money went into development of these things, but they open source it. And why they do it? Because they want the developer community to be active and doing a lot of good things as well, right? But what we generally do is that when company hire developers, like our company, Indian companies or other companies, they hire us on any of the specific framework or technology. Like if you are going to be hired for Flutter, they will pay you for creating the apps for Flutter, but the technology they got is free, right? And that's a really like big thing. We don't have to ignore this thing. That's why we have open source contributions as well. So you have to be very active with that, because we are the people who are making these communities active, and then only these things are coming for free to us. Suppose Microsoft Word was not free, right, in any means, then we would be paying a lot of money for using the Microsoft Word. But somehow it's for the students or for the colleges, they made it easy to be accessible. So these things matters. And then we like talk about the Dart language. So Dart is a like client optimized programming language. Okay, and it can be used for building mobile, desktop, and server, or even the web applications. It is object oriented, class based language. Okay, so it has lots of features, because it can be also compiled into native or JavaScript as well. Then we went through the example who are using Flutter as well. So you don't have to restrict yourself for not using the Flutter for a development. You can start doing it from today itself, and on the just basis of this Flutter, you can get a job easily. Okay, but yes, you should be good in a basic concept of programming like object orientation, basics of HTML, CSS. That's it. I mean, that's it right now, because if you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and one of the framework, you can easily get a job, right? And then you can scale up there itself. Then we have talked about the core competitive features, and these are really competitive, I would say to you. I have not like given the explanation of these three features, but when we will go through their website, they have explained it very well. And then we have compared with the Flutter with React Native or Ionic. React Native is definitely one of the best available tool or framework for us for the mobile application, but Flutter is definitely leading here with these below points. And then we have talked about the widgets as well. I hope I have explained it really well. Now we are jumping to the practical session, right? And then I will definitely take up your questions, whatever you have at the end of the session. So now let me move to the Dart. Okay, here. So if you see, this is an online platform, right? And what I am telling you, the Dart, because this is a Flutter session, but even I am taking the Dart as like for 15 minutes, is that because it is important. If you will not understand these things, right, you will not be able to understand the Flutter code, which I am going to write. So I will try to finish it very quickly, and I will like, you will definitely clear up your basic doubts as well. So we have to set up the Flutter and Dart in our local environment, but for now just use their online platform. So this link I will share with you. This is a dartpad.dartlang.org, and you can use it for your basic snippets for testing it, right? So let's remove everything. Okay, this left section is the place where you can write a code. This is your console, and this is the documentation. We are not going to use this section, but only these two, right? So in Dart, we generally use our main function as void main. Okay, and if you have any programming language, you should know what is void. If you don't know, because that's fine, you can be from your first year as well. So these things comes up, but here is the place where interviewer will like trick you in the interviews, like what is void, what is not, right? So if I will write like print hello, okay, and if I write anything like this, and semicolon is important here, and let me write it. So we are not writing here, if you see, we are not writing console.log. Okay, we are writing print, and we have to quote it, and we can write it, right? Then let's jump to another question, like what is mean of Dart? So Dart, there are like basically two types of languages, statically typed and dynamically typed language, right? So when we talk about, so Dart is basically a statically typed language, and what is mean is that if you will create a variable of a string, and you will try to assign a value to that variable as a number, it will give you an error. Okay, it will not allow you to do that. So these things makes this language or statically typed or dynamically typed. And there is a lot of benefit of using statically typed language, because TypeScript is also the statically typed language, right? And why we use it? Because maybe you are a developer, right? You have created a variable of string, and some other developer comes in and he is trying to assign a value as integer into the same variable. Then what will happen if it is not like statically typed? He will go to the code, he will compile it, he will check it, then he will get to know, like as in JavaScript, then he will get to know like, oh, I needed to assign a string value in it, but it was I have assigned the integer. So we are saving lots of step, because editor will tell you itself here like it is a string, and you have to write or assign a value as a string here only. Okay, you don't have to go. So like so let me take an example of the same as well, if you want. So if I'm writing a string name equals to xc, okay, and let's print it name. See, it will print out the name as well, but when I will try to write name equals to, it is a bit slower actually, but it will work. And if I try to assign now this thing, so see, uh, it is automatically telling me the value of type int cannot be assigned to a variable of type string, line number 4. Here lines are not showing up, but in our editor, when we will write the code, it will show us. So let me still run it, and let's see how it scream at us. So it is saying the same, right? Error compiling to JavaScript first of all, and it is saying that it is meant to be a string value, but you're trying to assign it a number. So if I do it, and if I run it, it will not yell at me that no, I'm doing something wrong, but it will print it. Okay, if I will put this line a bit below, then it will print me 23. That you already know, I don't have to explain it, right? Now let's jump to another type of this variable, because we have integer, string, boolean, right? And there is another kind of variable in this which is dynamic. Okay, dynamic equals to if I'm giving it a name like pixie, okay, fine. Then if I will print this like name, it will give it, it says that undefined class dynamic line number 2 error compiling, right? Because it, okay, let me, how it should work. So now what it means is that it is a dynamic variable Dart has introduced, because you may have some cases somewhere around that you want to assign the same variable a different kind of value, like to a string to like integer, right? So if I will try to write name equals to 21, now you see it is not showing me any kind of error, because they have introduced this variable, but I don't like using this variable dynamic because it makes confusion. I'm printing it below, that's why it is showing it. Let me do it here. But it is not a good practice definitely to use this variable. These are for very corner cases. You may come along, or maybe you have in some of your scenario you can get it, then you can use this dynamic variable, but I will highly recommend that you should not be using this variable. Now when I say to you that this function is void, what does it mean? You probably know that void is that this function is not going to return anything. So if I will write return, okay, suppose this, then it will not run. It will say that cannot return a value from a void function, right? This function is built to not to return anything, right? This is the main function in Dart, and what does it mean is here is that void means this function is not expected to return anything. And I'm literally telling you guys because you say this line very frequently in your interviews or not, but most of us do not really understand it. So let's understand this thing very carefully. If I write it didn't work, right? But as I have given you the examples here itself, let me create another method, right? String hi, then let's do this, and this is going to return hi. Okay, fine. Now this is a method of type what? This is not void, right? This method hi is of type string, right? And when I will come along here, and when I will write something here, like string underscore hi equals to hi, okay, and if I will print this variable underscore hi, sorry, it should work, right? It worked, because now what I'm trying to explain you here is that this function is void. It is not meant to return anything, but this function is not void. This is type of string, right? So it can return anything in the form of string. Let's take another example like int dob. Okay, if I'm talking about dob, I can return what? I can return a string like 27051999. Okay, then it is return me an integer value. What I need to do here, I will create another object of the same function like the dob equals to, then I will call this method dob, okay, and then I will print this, and I will say underscore dob, fine, and it should again work. So now my whole purpose of this session, this example was that if it is something void, it is not going to return anything. But if it is of something another kind of, it will return you that value, the specific which you are expecting from this. Okay, then this is the example. I hope I cleared this thing with you very well for the interview and further process as well, because this is going to be come along your way a lot of times in many of the programming languages as well. So now when we are into the 2020, we don't have to like write this longer syntax here, because when we do it, we can use the fat operator. If you don't know what is fat operator, or what is like the like the arrow operator, okay, then you can write it like this thing. Okay, this is called a fat operator, and this is very frequently used in ES6 or TypeScript right now. And if you want, I can write it a comment like learn about fat operator. You can just go back and learn about it. This is really helpful and really going to be used in your day-to-day programming. So now let's reduce this function to be very short now. So what I will do, I will do like this way, and I don't need to even write the return statement, because I'm not telling you everything why I'm doing this, but if you have seen, I have used the this curly brace and then I use the return statement. When we do it in multi-line, we have to put a return statement here. But when we are just directly returning a single thing, we can use the syntax, right? Now you see the difference here and here. It is looking pretty clean here. And if I remove this thing and I remove this thing as well, it should again work. It will not yell at me that no, it's wrong. It's working fine. Okay. So now we have just took 40 minutes and we have covered a lot of things. So now let me introduce one of the other feature of the Dart as well, which is the classes. Because if you remember, we have seen like Dart is a language which uses which is the class based as well, right? So we can use the oops features. I probably do not want to give this example, but I hope there are some beginners as well here, so they must know when we go along with the Dart thing, because it's going to be used in my example. I'm going very specific. I'm not telling you each and everything. Okay, so let's create a class first of all. So let's like take class user. Okay, and there is a norm. If we write the class, we should be start with the capital letter. Okay, then if I'm writing name equals to, okay, x, then I can have, okay, I think that's fine. And let's take a method as well here, like void method. It is not void hello. Okay, it's not going to return anything, but I will print. Okay, this is a user object. Okay, and let me close this function. Now we have created this class. Now I have to use this in my main because this is the entry point for me. So now let's create the object for this. So if you remembered in my earlier example, let me do, if I can like do the control Z a lot of times. So you see what I did when I tried to use this hi method in my main, I use a string here, not void, because I know this is the string method, right? So now if I remove this, let's not remove, just write it down below. So if you see from here, okay, if you see from here, this is a class user. So if I will try to create the object for this one, I will be using the user, not any other variable. So how will I write it? User, and then I can say like first instance equals to user. What I'm doing, I'm creating the instance of this class. Okay, and what I will do in the next line, I can do right underscore first instance dot, and you see, even this is a web console. It is showing me the option which is available to me, and it makes a lot of sense because this is just a web editor. And now you can imagine the power when we will do all these things uh, in the editor Android Studio. Let me remove this snippet, and when I will write this thing, it should print me the name. Okay, it should not yell at me. It is very fair example. And what I'm trying to do, I have created a variable, I'm using it here, then I use the same variable class and I created the instance of that, and I'm using it here. I don't know, probably the system is slower because you can see the run button is disabled. I cannot do, so it may be compiling at the background. Yeah, now it worked, right? Redux. Okay. Mm. Okay, now let's jump to the other example. Okay, I don't know, should we go with the other example or not? Because what I will be trying to do is I will try to like create another method and I will try to call that here. But I suppose that you can go back and learn about this classes structure, which is almost similar with another of your programming language. Okay, so I'm not going deeper, but now I could tell you like the structure and the basic core feature of the Dart. Fine. So now, okay, sir is saying that I need to open my video. Let me open it. I don't know if I'm looking cleaner or not. Okay, so now we are moving to another thing, which is the getting started with your getting started with the Flutter. Okay, so let me open that web application or like the website where you can getting started with your Flutter. So first of all thing, what you need to do when we talk about starting with Flutter, you should have the Android Studio. If you want to go with your traditional VS Code, I would say that you will face a lot of problems. So you should install this Android Studio. I will share the link with you in the deck at the last slide. So that's why I was saying it that it is quite a heavy like 896 MB. Then if you will install it or download it, it will again install some other packages as well. So you should be you should have very good internet connection and time. So you can start it in your night time and you can leave it. It will be done in that case. After doing this, okay, this is the Android Studio. Now you have the IDE with you, and how it will look. Let me show it to you. It is the uh, I have started my video, Sandeep sir. Uh, are you guys able to see me? Not? Let me do it again.
Yes, yes, Nikhil, it is visible.
Okay, thanks. So this is the VS Android Studio actually. Okay, so this is the left panel where we have the code structure. This is the right panel where we are going to actually write our code, and this is almost similar with your other editor if you have used. You have probably used. So now let's jump to the other section. After this thing, you have to have Flutter. So there are lots of, I would say there are two main ways of installing the Flutter in your system. But the preferred one is like going with the Git. So what you have to do is you can just open your CMD. You can like go below, and you have to create a folder like mkdir src. I already have it, so it should not work for me. See, it will already exist, right? So what you will do, the instruction is written here. You can go, so extract, you don't have to extract the zip and all. Just go to directly your C directory. Okay, create a folder src, and you should have Git in your system. And when you will run this, it will install the Flutter in your system. And how it will look, let me show it to you. Debug, yes. So I am, okay, let me open another window. Yes, I am here in my C src. Then I have this Flutter folder. It will bring a Flutter folder to your system, and it has a lot of things, right? And this is the Flutter console. If I will open it, you see it is showing me the Flutter and lot of things. Now what the another command you have to do is like Flutter doctor. Okay, that it looks really funny, but it is a really good command. What it does is that it sets up the environment for you. It download it, it also asks you like you want Dart as well in your system or not. When you will run this command, it will do some processing and it will install it for you. So you see, I already have channel version of this and the Microsoft version. You don't have to worry about these errors. Okay, if you're coming with your errors, don't worry about it. You just have to care about this first line that Flutter has installed in your system. Don't worry, I will share these commands with you. These are really quick. It will not take a lot of time. And you see, then you can write the which Flutter Dart. It will tell you the directory and all. And this is the Flutter doctor command which you will run, and it will do a lot of things as well. Mm, the other point to be considered here is that Flutter may not work from all your command prompt. Like if I will do Flutter from here, it is not working for me as well because I have not set it up the environment. This is a new laptop, another, so I really quickly set up it up. My previous one is like lying there, so that has everything. But this I have not set it up the environment very well. But if you want to use Flutter from any place, any of your command prompt, you can set up the environment. And you, how can you do? You just have to press this, and you have to write env, and you can set up the environment very well. So if you will go here, you can go path, then you can do edit, okay, and you can new, and then you can give the path of this src folder Flutter one. So like C, then then here I'm not doing it. So you can give the path of that, and it will work from other command lines as well. But for me, it is. But if you also don't want to do it, you can directly go to this folder, Flutter, and you can double click this Flutter console, and it will open the Flutter command prompt for you. Okay, now let's jump to other section. So now what we have covered till now, you need Android Studio first of all, that I've shown you how it looks. Then you need the Flutter. It's a pretty different way. Like if you have used React or Angular, the way of installing that was quite different. You just have to do some npm commands and it was working for you. But with this, because it plays with your native environment, then we have to do it. Okay. Now let's jump to other section. Um, somewhere. Yeah. So if you see this flutter.dev.community, it is a place where you can get to know a lot of things about Flutter, like who are using Flutter YouTube channel, Flutter Discord. Probably I should be calling this out in the end of the session, but that's fine. So there's a docs community as well. You can get to know about widgets catalog, API docs, getting started, samples, videos. So they already have a lot of things for you. As I already mentioned, that if it is from Google, they have everything ready for you to be directly used. You don't have to bother about searching the resources and all. You can like quickly go to their website, and you can use this. This is the Dart official website. I will share the link as well. Okay, optimized for UI, product development, fast and full platforms. This is also really good. And one of the things we have already used is the Dart pad, which is there. If you want to try out something very quickly, you can use this for using the features, right? So now what we are going to do is, let me start my VS Android Studio. Okay, I have already created an example, but what I will do, what you can do basically is that, let me close this. Okay, I will start it again. Disconnect. Okay, now Android Studio. There are some other steps which is definitely required and important. Okay, for working with your Flutter project. So okay, it's loading up. It takes time, and it will take time. This laptop is new, that's why it is working very frequently right now, if you have seen it. But if you will probably open in your laptop which is of the previous generation, it may take some time. So don't just frequently keep clicking the system, it will hang, because this is already heavier, right? So if I do React project, new project, so if you see, it is automatically asking me like what kind of project, because I have configured my system in such a way, no activity. Let's do the next thing. It will ask me like what kind of project I want to do, what language I want to do. So I'm not covering this section, but I will share a link with you, like how you're gonna start with your how you're gonna start a new Flutter project. And it's just not like that you will start your Android Studio and it will work. It will not work like that. So what you need to do, if you see, if you install your Android Studio, you will not see this option in your Android Studio, like start a new Flutter project. For this, we have to do some configurations, and uh, sorry. Okay, it's fine. So if you see, we have the AVD manager, right? So AVD manager is the place where we have created an emulator. Okay, an emulator is what? It is basically it's already running for me. Let me open it. Yeah. So you see, I don't have to attach my actual mobile device into my system when I'm working or creating a Flutter app, or maybe a React Native or any other app. So this is a virtual device which is called an emulator, which is given to us. It just behaves like your mobile app, or your mobile, right? We can do everything, not calling and all, but we can try out our app, what we are building frequently here in this app itself, in this emulator. So this is required. We have to set up it, and there is a minimal step for this one. The link I will share with you, that will like cover up all these things. So now let's jump to here. If you see this option, you will not see it, but once after the configuration, you will see it. So there are lots of options like configurations, plugins, and let me open it. So plugin, I'm just going through this very frequently because you will have this in your mind when you will be following that blog or that post. Okay. So you have to click this plugins if you want to have Flutter Flutter features or inference in your editor. So you have to search Flutter, and when you will search the Flutter, that is going to be probably the first option for you. So you have to install it, and once you will install it, it will ask you to restart your Android Studio. So you have to do that. You cannot skip that thing. You have to like restarting your Android Studio. This is the one part. Another part is that this option you have to configure it from here. So there will be an option. I don't want to uh, explain it here. It will be a confusion. So if you will click this AVD manager, and you can do the create virtual device, right? When I click that button, the reason I am able to see this phone, because I've configured it, this emulator. You have to also do the same. I prefer the Pixel 6, but you can prefer any of the mobile or tablet. So suppose you are creating a mobile application or a tablet application, or maybe a TV application with Flutter. You can go with TV, wearable devices like your Android watch or whatnot. Okay, tablets, and then automotive devices as well. So let's go with the phone, and I have choose the Pixel 2 or Pixel 3, anything. You can choose as per your convenient. Okay, then you will do the next button. Suppose I choose the Nexus 6, right? It tells you all the configurations here. If I do the next, it will ask you like what version of Android you want to install. Right now the installed version is 30 for me, Android 11. But if you want to have, if you have any like specific concern or specific requirement, you can go with the other devices like Nougat, Oreo, Marshmallow, anything. You can install it, and it takes a lot of time because it's in GBs, right? I'm not doing it right now, but this is how I configured my emulator. Okay, and now I'm able to run it. So this is all. Let's start with the new Flutter project. You will see that option. I'm choosing the Flutter application, not choosing the plugin, package, or module, which we can also build, but I need to create the Flutter application. Plugins is like maybe you have created some plugin, like anybody can use it for maybe a card machine, right? Card swiping machine. So in the one of my previous project, I have built a plugin for online card swipe payment. So that plugin was working for that specific machine. That was a bit of combination of like front end and back end, and you can install it anywhere. Anybody can install it and use it in the development. Package is like a smaller version of that, and module is like the other smaller version. So we are starting with the Flutter application, Flutter app 3 I'm giving. Now this is the important part when you will start with it. So the place where we have like install the Flutter folder inside the src, right? You have to give that path here. So if you see in the src, I choose the Flutter, and we are here. We are good to go. We have to give the Flutter SDK path here. Now this is the place that I want to show my project, and this is a basic description. I'm not touching it. Let's go to the next window. Now it's asking me what is the package name going to be. You can write down anything, but let's leave it default. So now because we are doing the testing, but if you're building a project for a company, right? So they probably have some convention, like if you are working for Wellington or for maybe for Microsoft, then you can write it like that, Microsoft. Okay, and that's a convention we should generally follow it. But this is just the example, so we are not doing it. You don't have to like touch any of these things. These are pretty good itself. Let's do the finish thing. It takes some time for setting up a project because it do a lot of things which we like cannot even understand, like setting up the environment, setting up the devices, giving us the basic code structure of our app. Okay. Uh, okay, so let's not see this. Let's see this first of all. These are the external libraries. These are the scratches and console. This is the folder which we created, right? And in this folder, we don't have to take care about all these files. What we have to take care is just this lib folder. This is the lib folder, right? And this is main.dart. Our all code or functional code is going to be placed inside this lib folder, not any other place. When we jump in here, we can see there is a file main.dart. Now, Dart is the programming language we are using. So this is the extension for the same, right? That's why we are using the Dart. And this is some sample code they have already given to you. Don't bother about, don't just get confused. This is so much code. I will, and you see, if you notice, this is lot of comments here. So code is very minimal, and we are not like definitely using this code. I will remove everything to start it from the scratch. Now, the other part which I will explain you from this code directory is this pubspec YAML, right? This file is the configuration file for a Flutter project, and we will cover one or two section from this. I hope I'm not going too fast. Can somebody tell me, like, should I go again back from starting up the new project, or is it fine? Uh, I heard a very low sound. Is it less good, or is it fine? Okay, I got a message. It's
So
fine.
fine, fine.
Okay. So now let me remove everything. Okay, from here. Not everything. I don't want to write the import statement. Mm, I remove it. We are here. Okay, but if you see, uh, okay, it will probably give you the errors, right? Then definitely, okay, let me undo it and let's do it from step by step. So now what the other thing that you need to do, first of all, when you have set it up your project, you don't have to like bother about what is all, what is not. So you have to test it first of all, that your project is working fine or not, or is there some dependency issue or not. Then what you have to do, if you have created your emulator, you will probably see it here, because I can see mine here, SDK, Gphone 86 mobile, right? And you will be seeing something like selector mobile or selector device. So you have to click that thing which you have created, and it will automatically load it here. I have clicked it, it is automatically there, right? If you see, it's here. Now let me make it a bit smaller so I can put it side by side. Yes. Okay. I think this is fine. Now the mobile. Yeah, this is fine. So let me run this project. First of all, I have selected my device. Now let me run it, and this is the place. Why it's not coming up? I don't know. Yeah, now it's coming. So if you run this, it will start the process of running your app. Okay, it is launching, then doing some assembling, debugging configurations, running your Gradle. It will take time when you will do this for the very first time, because the Gradle needs to be set it up in your environment. So it will take a bit more time. So you don't have to worry, because I also created a new app. That's why it is taking me some of the time. So mm, what I'm doing right now is basically I'm running this app, and it will automatically run here, compile here, and will launch here in this editor, in this emulator. So earlier what we were doing when this emulator was not there, or maybe some other concern was there, we were manually attaching our phone devices or tablets through the phone to the laptop, and then everything was running in there. It was a lot of time consuming thing. Because earlier, because every time there is an wire or other issues, we have to like go through the whole process again, and then it was working, right? So now, yeah. So if you see what it alerted me, Flutter supports the hot reload. Apply changes to your app in place instantly. I will explain this feature, and this is one of the main reason Flutter gains so much popularity in the market. Hot reload thing. So if you see, this is the code they have written, and this is the outcome. This is not looking like a more on a mobile app, but it's fine. What it is basically doing, when I will click this thing, it will increase the counter of the same. So it just basically the a simple app. So what we needed to do, we just tested that, okay, this is working. So if you want to change this Flutter demo homepage, so you can change this like Flutter demo. You can search it like Flutter Flutter. Okay. And when you will save it, you see I saved it, right? And it showed me that it worked, but it is not available here. It didn't work automatically, right? I need to do another step, which is here, this green circle. It says Flutter hot restart, right? And when I will do this thing, then I will be able to, uh, what happened? Malformed message. Okay, let me, maybe I have did something wrong. One second. So okay, let's not go with that. It will definitely reflect the changes. So what I'm doing right now here is that I am manually doing the hot reload. What earlier was happening when we needed to do or like check the latest and frequent changes. Suppose you are developing a mobile app, right? And you are fixing some UX in your mobile application. So will it not be a pain point for you if you will like do that code? You will generate the build APK, and that takes less or less, even if you're using a very fast computer like maybe a 16 MB of cache with your system, then also it will take like 3 to 4 minutes for generating that Android APK, and then you will install that Android APK in your mobile, then you will check it, right? This solves the issue. Even in the emulator with the Ionic, what happens, we just we did do the changes, we run that command, the build generates, then APK reloads, then install again, and then it reflects the changes. Okay, there is definitely other way of doing that, the web view of that, but that do not replicate the behavior of your mobile, right? So in that case, what happens, uh, this thing is really good. If you see, this reflected, like it started from the zero. I don't know where it has given that string or not, but it will reflect. So now this thing's saving me a lot of time. I just need to click a button here and it will work for me. And later in this same example, I will tell you one way where you will not be even like clicking this button. So what I'm doing right now, I'm doing some changes, like doing some string or maybe a counter or anything, because it's a counter variable, it is reflecting here, or maybe a button which I'm here, and it's showing me like any of the color. If I want to change any of the things which I'm changing, I'm coming here, clicking this, reloading, and everything is happening. But later on in this example, what I will do, I will integrate the hot reloading. So once you will save this, it will automatically like it will automatically hot reloaded and reflect to you here as well, right? So now let's not do a lot of time here. Let's remove all of the code, and let me explain you some of the basic way of starting with the Flutter app. So if you see, I do not have a lot of things. I just have only one thing here, right? And it says void main, uh, and it basically it is a method that we have already seen. Okay, and now, okay, let's move everything. I will write it down for you. It says it is nothing is code itself, nothing is doing, there is no mobile app, sorry. Yeah, if you see, this app is here, Flutter 3, but it doesn't make any sense, it shows me an error. So let's write down the basic example of our code. I have written some examples already into another screen, so I will to avoid the time and like thinking and creating that, I will directly use that. So if you see this run app, okay, as I told you that we create everything as a widget, right? So if you see, it is automatically showing me that widget. So earlier you have seen this example, that below button was a widget, that center screen was a widget, header or a header, the header which was coming was a widget. Everything is a widget and nested inside. So we follow the tree structure, and tree is always nested, either the left or right. Okay, but it is nested. So we have to nest our elements or widgets in such a way that it should form a proper mobile app or UX for us. Okay, so as I already told you that Material UI is already installed or configured in it. Material. Okay, so Material is basically a framework that you can use in for creating your mobile, your desktop, or your web, any of the application. If you want to use button, and that HTML button will look definitely ugly, so in that case you can use the Material UI, and they have integrated it because Material is also given by Google, and this is really good. So let me jump back to the example Material app. Okay, and then what I will write in here, I will write home. Okay, and I will maybe return a string. Hey, uh, hey, uh, this is home. Okay, now you see uh, what I did basically. I just did I'm just trying to put in a string, and now you can probably understand uh, what I'm doing here. I created a widget, this home. This is also widget, the main run app widget. Inside that I am running this home, and I'm giving in a string. Now it is yelling at me because it doesn't understand what kind of widget is it. It is a string for us, we know it, but this doesn't understand. Like if you see, the argument type string cannot be assigned to a parameter type widget, because if it is a widget, then widget can have another widget, not a direct value. Okay, so we have text widget in us in this. So if I will close this thing, it is not yelling at me now. And we don't put these things, we put the comma everywhere. Okay, maybe 1 second, maybe I am doing something wrong. Maybe okay, yeah, probably yes. So if you see it, it makes everything easy for you. It is telling you that Material app widget has been closed here, and this text is a widget, and there are like other widgets as well. So suppose if I do not write the text, if I write something as like flat button. Okay, flat button is another widget, and there the everything which you see is a widget. And now you will be getting confused, like from where I will get to know like what kind of widget is it and what it is not. Then probably you can go to this website. Okay, I will tell you what is the scaffold class, and there are lots of widgets available here, like the alignment, your text, your app bar as well, which we will probably see in our next example. We will create the app bar. So if you see, this app bar says that it is a leading, title, actions, button, then bottom. And if you will run this code, it will probably show you the app bar. You see it here, it is showing like this. There's an icon and then a heading as well. So this is all widget. So if you see, they have probably used the app bar. You see it here, maybe it is smaller. Let me zoom it. So if you see, this is app bar, and it has a title, and the title again has a widget. So everything which is here is a widget. The style, text style is also a widget. So even in the color or CSS property, everything is widget, and you can like search out all the widgets here. I have pronounced widget a lot of time. Now I will not pronounce it. So so when I will run this app, it should show me the output. Okay, my button is hidden. Let me put it from here. It will show me really ugly, right? It is not good. Hey, see, this is home, right? So we will probably in our next example, which I have written, we do not have much of the time. Let me directly copy it, which I have written for you. I will explain you though. I will not like directly. Okay, let me comment it. I will share these example with you, so later on you can directly run it and understand these. Okay, so if you see what I'm doing, this is the same thing that we did, run app, Material app. Then I did what? if you see, this home is starting from here and ending here. It's not closing up in between. Now, if you notice, this is scaffold. This is a mm, okay. This is basically a uh, this is basically a root widget for you. Okay, this scaffold widget is the root widget of your application. So let me jump to that website again and let me show you this. This is scaffold class implements the basic material design layout structure. And what is the meaning of this? If you are, suppose you are running or creating a mobile app, right? Maybe you are creating a YouTube app. Okay, in that case you have to frame it like your header should be there, your playing video should be at the left side, but covering a lot of space. Then you have the right hand side which shows the list of the other videos. These are all layout for your whole app, and it is really important, right? If you see this example, if you see this example here, this is the header. It is supposed to be here. There should be a footer. There should be a middle content. So the layout of this app comes inside the scaffold. This is the root widget for your app. Now let's jump to other section. Let's forget this thing. I'm just removing everything. I will paste it again. So if you see, I have started home widget. I have given it a name home. I did I initialized the scaffold. Then what I'm saying, app bar. This is the application bar, the navigation bar. Then I'm using the widget app bar, which is already created. So if you do control and then if you will hover it over, okay, even on this one, you can see a lot of properties are already there, and you can use any of these. So if I go here, you can see these are boolean color. Maybe you want to give a background color for a whole app, you can give it another widget, drawer, list item, floating action icon button. You have seen this. This is maybe it is probably very small for you, but floating action button location, right? You can put down the location of that, like it should be either the left, right, top, or where, because it is a floating button. If you're using the iOS app mobile, then you have experienced that as well. So here what I'm doing, I said I have a title for my app bar which says BCIIT app, and then the center and the alignment of that text should be center, title should be true. Now here you will say that okay, we are not using any kind of widget here, we have directly initialized a value. Instead of using, maybe I should be using like center or maybe the align right here. But for some of the properties, this is the property. Okay, this is the property, this is a widget. So you should be knowing this. You should know the difference between these. This is the property, this is the widget, and this is the value of this. So for some of the properties, we are directly assigning the value. So if you see, this is kind of a boolean value. I have given it a true. Now let's undo my code. Okay. Next line. Yes. Now if you see, I have created the app bar which has only the title and a boolean value of flag that it should be in the center. Fine. Now there are basically three parts in any of the web or mobile: the header, the content, and the footer. So I have considered that only. So I have covered the header. Now I'm covering the middle section, which is the body of the app. So the content should be into middle, and the child of that should be a text. Okay, and that should have this Flutter app. Now the last section which I am doing is a floating action button, and I'm initializing it. I'm doing, you can see there are lots of options with this, so you can use. I have used child, then I have given it text as text. This is very iterative, very recursive, you can say. But if you see, this structure is very nested. It is like a tree. If you will print it somewhere, or if you will try to portray this, you will find out that you are coming up with a tree structure. Let me run this app, and then we will see what is the output of this thing. You see, I am able to see the BCIIT app, then I'm able to see the Flutter app in between. Then there's an button open. Okay, you can probably do this as a plus button, and you have to like reload it, and you will see the plus button here, which is generally the idea of doing this. This is looking smaller and all, but you see if I would be doing it with React Native or Ionic, I would be writing double of the code, double of the same code easily. And there would be like, I would have created 3 or 4 files for just this code, placing this icon here, aligning it. Maybe it is already there, but still, if we have custom requirements, then creating the header, it should be fixed. It should be have this color, kind of all these things I should be giving it. But you see, because this is using material, I have like mentioned material a lot of times. So let me open it for you as well. This material is basically built for beautiful products and making things very faster. Okay, material is a design system backed up by open source code that helps you to build high quality digital experiences. You see, these all things are created with material UI. So you can just go to their components and you will find a lot of components there already. And if you see, they have categorized it already for you. If you want to use it, use this app bar top for Android, iOS, web, or Flutter. You can click the Flutter and they will make you jump to this Flutter, okay, here. And after that, you can just directly copy the code and you're good to go. You see, you can directly copy this code and you can make color changes, everything they have given for you, all the props, properties, all the various functions. Your requirement cannot go beyond this. I'm telling you, if it is going, then you should be very careful. First of all, if you're doing some custom implementation, then we're good. This example. Now I will ask you guys, if you want me to explain this again, you can say yes or no. I will explain this again, or I will go to the next example, which is adding the colors and styling to this component which I have created. You want me to go through this again? Anybody can say yes or no. That will be good. Anybody is there?
Yes.
Okay. Should we go with this example again, or is it fine? Because this is the basic building block. It's fine, right? Okay. Let me bring up the another example. That is basically built with the web example which I have just shown to you. And if you will see here, I'm not doing much. What I'm doing, we have same thing, app bar, BCIT app. Then we have the, what I did, I just added a new property, which is the background color is purple accent 400. And I will tell you, okay, this is the body. Then I have added the style for this, and this is the floating button. I have added the background color as well. Nothing fancy, nothing too much code here. Let me tell you one very good thing. So uh, material already give you a lot of a bigger palette of colors for you. So you have to write colors dot. When you will do this, you see already a lot of colors are coming for you, right? White and the different shades. So suppose if I am picking up the orange, okay, when I will hit, when I will do the control Q of the same, you see, when I hit the control Q, it showed me all the shades of this orange. See, there is a dark orange, light orange, orange accent, then orange red accent, and a lot of colors. If you want to go with, if you want to use any of these, you can just click this thing, or you can just use this, maybe the color accent. So if I'm saying deep orange with 300, okay, and then I can definitely use it. So let me what was that? It was deep orange. Okay, I have to click it, sorry. Deep orange, then in the square bracket I will give 500, and I will do this, comma. Okay, if you see, this color is already showing it here, so it is making everything for easy for you. You don't have to like inspect it and all. It will be visible for you very easily. Let me show. Okay, and let me again run this app for you. It should show me the same structure but a different color and font. So if you have seen, the font size was smaller, the color was blue, this was different, this was into the blue color, but I was able to change this with this small changes, right? Let me have water. Okay, so let me jump to another example. Now there are two things. I don't know, I have like skipped that slide or not, but there are two things when we talk about Flutter app. So there are stateless widgets and the stateful widgets as well. So let me write it down here itself. Stateful and stateless widget. Okay. This is the category of the widgets we can have in our Flutter app. So stateful widget is says itself that it should it is meant to have some state in it. What is state? State is like a variable. Okay. If you haven't worked in React, you probably don't know what is state. So state can be an object. It can be a variable. Okay. Anything. Let me give you an example. The first app which we did, there was a counter. When I was clicking this, the counter was changing. So that there was a counter variable. That was a state for me, and I was changing that inside my app. So that's why I will consider that widget as a stateful. And right now here, I'm not doing anything. I'm just printing out or like showing out the structure. So this is meant to show us the elements itself. No state plane here. Okay, this is the purpose of these two kinds of widgets. So if somebody asks you in an interview, or maybe if you ask yourself like which kind of widget I should be creating, whether I will have any kind of maybe state or not, then you can probably go with the stateful or stateless. And there's a very good way of doing this. So if you will think that how would I create and how would I distinguish it, so you can just like stful. If you just do this, if you know what I did, let me do it again. It automatically writes code for you, stateful and stateless. Let's do stl okay, and it automatically created the basic. If I do test, you see it is asking me what kind of stateless widget you want to create. I just said like stlass, and it has given me the scaffolding code of this. So this is a stateless widget. Now I can do anything here. This is a container. It is returning me a container, and I can return anything here, like another widget or anything. Now let's do the stateful stful. It will give me two methods. One is the container which I am presenting. One is the place where I will be manipulating or doing my states. So you see, this is the stateful. And the another good feature is like if I will write test here. So you see, this place is empty. Okay, this place is empty, and this is also empty. If I will write test, it has automatically did it for me, test, test, and test. I just need to hit a simple command and I'm good to go with my stateful or stateless component. And this is quite a bigger concept, but I will try to explain you about this in a very short way, how we do the state and stateful and stateless. Okay. But first of all, let me do one thing for you. I mentioned earlier that I will tell you how we gonna do the how we gonna do the hot reloading in our application, right? So this is how I'm going to do it. Okay. What I'm doing right now, every time I need to like change anything, I will be going here and writing it. But I have changed the code, and now after this change which I did, I will tell you what change I did. I just need to hit it only once. Okay, and if I will do any change subsequently, I will not be needing to do this hot reloading in my project. So if you see, this is open, like amaze me. Okay, right. If I write your amazing, okay, then if I write it, there are two codes. Then if I save it, Control S, you see I didn't need to do the hot reloading. It is automatically doing, and it is frequently changing me the content of this. And you cannot imagine the power of this feature right now if you're not like building any heavy app. But once you will do a lot of changes and lots of requirements or lots of ticket stories in your project, then this thing will help you a lot, because you're not like frequently doing, if you're changing the font size or color or elementing it, we have to like check very frequently what is, how it is looking, how it is not looking, whether the size, space, location, margin, everything is correct or not. So it should be very frequent, and it is really very frequent now. So if you see, if I do Control S, it shows me this output automatically. So this hot reloading, how I did is that, if you see, I created the stateless widget. Okay, and there are two things in this example, and this is probably the last example which I'm giving to you. Let me show. Yeah, I have created a few more, but this is the last one which I will give it to you in this session, because this is enough. So if you see what's happening right now, in your earlier example, we did the materialize app, then we started the home, and what I have written there was text, then I have written the text, right? But right now, if you see, I am calling something else. I'm calling the layout. And what is layout? Layout is another widget for me. And you can do this chaining if you have a bigger app. Okay, you will probably have the bigger app because you will be creating lots of widgets. So what I did, I called another widget which is called layout. I created it here, and this is a class based. Okay, this is a class based. We create the class for every widget, and we can. What I did, I created the layout, and this is the same name, and it is extending me. And you probably know what is extend, because if you are working in the object orientation, you are definitely extending the classes, extending the other parent features. So that's why we have to write this keyword. So I use the stateless widget. Then what I'm doing right now, I am using this build. This is a, this is another kind of a keyword, I would say. So every time my context is like, if I'm changing something in my app which is inside this scope, this is covering the whole of. If I will change something outside of that, this probably will not work, this hot reloading. So I have wrapped up my whole app into this build. So anything which I'm changing, I'm able to frequently see the changes here itself. I don't need to like check it. So Flutter automatically handles it. It understands that, okay, somebody is like trying to wrap this thing inside the build. So anything, if it is changing, it should be automatically reflecting. Now if you see, I created this widget, and this is again similar. What I did the scaffold, because I have to structure my app. Then I have used the app bar, then app bar is here, these three properties there. Then in the center, I do have one button with background color and the text. And this is a on pressed method, nothing else. So it's not working right now. It is just consoling me this value. You amazed me. Okay, because I have printed it. If you will click it, it will show you keep on. So this is the on press event of the same button. And then after that, the last button, which is the open, which is the floating button. The code is similar. Nothing is complicated here, because we have already seen we have widgets, properties and widgets, properties and widgets. That's it. The whole Flutter is working on the two principles itself. And you see, I'm not importing a bunch of different things. Even I'm doing a lot of things here. I'm doing colors, I'm changing the button styling, giving a floating button. Even for this floating, I'm not importing anything. It is automatically handled here. Just one import and you are good to go. So this is the one app. Now the final thing you will probably ask, okay, I have created my app. This is the app I want to use. Okay, let me close this app and reopen this. This is the first one. This is opening very frequently. Now, if you see that, okay, yeah, one thing very quickly I will tell you. Pubspec file that I explained, pubspec.xml. You message me. Okay. Here you see everything is commented right now. But if you see, if you want to change your environment, you can do it here. The basic example I will give you for this file is like, suppose you have a requirement of giving a different kind of font or different kind of assets like images and all. You can configure it here. So if you go down, you see I am configuring my assets here. See, right now my two assets are coming from where? These are coming from images. Then these two images I'm using. But if you want to change the location of this, you can uncomment this file and you can use it. And one important thing, you don't have to touch the indentation of this file. So if Flutter is written here with this space, you cannot like hit it this it like this tab or space, it will break your application and it will be hard for you to identify. So just keep everything most left aligned. If you see there is no space, so if you are uncommenting it, I'm telling you this can bother you a lot. If I'm uncommenting this line, it is not even good. Now I just need to do a hit shift plus tab. Now it is good. Okay, and this is definitely a comment, so I will comment it again. This is the way, or this is the file pubspec.yaml file where you're going to change. This is the font family. I could be giving the example of changing this font family. You just need to give a fonts. There should be a folder of fonts in assets. You can write down your font name and it will reflect here. So this file is for configuration pubspec. Fine, very basic configurations, nothing much. Now the final question comes to you. This is a mobile app. Can I use it in my mobile, like in my hardware mobile as well or not? Then in that case, there should be an APK if you are using the Android. So if you go to the directory, okay, your Flutter app. See, I created this. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, here. So Flutter apps, the third one which we have created, you have to go here Flutter, then you have to go build, then you have to go app, then you have to go outputs, then apk debug, and here it goes. This is your apk file. If I'll install it in my Android mobile, I will be able to see these things in maybe in just within a half an hour. If you understand the material, you can create a mobile app which can be really quick to use for you. You can even create a counter, maybe a contact list or anything, or maybe some game as well. So you can quickly create it. mm, yeah, I mean, this is I guess we are on time. And this is all I had to explain to you guys with all the structure. So if I go and explain what we have covered what is Flutter, what is Dart. We have seen the basics of Dart. We have seen the basics of setting up the environment. Then we have seen material, basic component, basic widgets, creating of basic widgets, and the properties of that. Then we have seen how to invoke the emulator, how to interact that, where is the APK file, uh, like basics of Dart, like classes, creating functions, variables, dynamic variable as well. And mm, yeah, I think I have reminded you everything. Then we have seen like who's using, and is there anything remaining here? No. We have seen the comparisons, Dart in action, environment setup, Flutter in action, resources, and now it's time for the question answers. So, mm, yeah, we can start with the question answers. Let me open the, yeah, here. Let me stop my video. Yeah. So anybody has questions? I haven't checked the chat window if somebody have asked already or not. No, nobody asked. So if anybody has any question, they can raise their hand and ask me. You can ask me uh, related to Flutter or general mobile development, or maybe if you have concern, like if you have already used something, if you are very new to this, you haven't did any kind of coding yet, then you can also ask me the question. I will try to answer that. Okay, sir, can you tell us what widget tree is? The widget tree is definitely is nothing like okay, let me explain you with an example here. See, when you create any of your HTML web page, right? So if you see HTML elements tree, what basically we do, if you write any of your HTML code, right? Open image in a new tab. Yeah. So if you see it here, what it shows that your page starts with the body, and then in your body you have two divs, one div and two div. One div contains one paragraph, one heading, and some paragraphs, then horizontal line, then some font sizes. And the same way we have this thing. So if you go any of the web page, like suppose if I'm going to any, if I'm going to this page, okay, if I'll do right, okay, this is, if I'll do control U, okay, I can see the source of this page. And if I go to the source of this page, it says that it is starting from the body, and then after I do have some divs, I do have some LIUL classes. So this tree structure is the same way we are following into the Dart as well. So any of the mobile, any of the things which you're doing in your mobile app, like this example here, if you have seen this, if you have so this thing, this header is a widget, this is a widget, this tree structure is the same as the HTML tree structure. So if you're doing something, you should organize that, and that organization is in the form of tree. Am I clear? Okay. Any other questions? You can ask in the audio as well. You don't have to write. And if you do not have any question, then definitely I will assume that I have explained everything in a very finest manner. Maybe someone, like some of you, cannot digest that, so you have to ask questions. Okay, so what we can do, I will uh, okay, I will answer this question. Rahul asked me what is hot reload and hot restart, the difference is there. So there is a very minimal difference in that. So hot reload is like if you're doing something, right, if you're doing some frequent changes, like some basic changes, then it should be automatically reflected. You want your app to show those changes. If you're doing some UX changes like button color or something else, the alignment, you don't want this to be going from the scratch. Okay. And how it works is basically it works. So suppose I do have a app like this one. I have just changed, suppose I have just changed the color of this button. So do you believe that if I just change this thing, uh, if I change the color of this button, then my whole app should be hot reloaded or restarted? No, it should not be. So it is automatically handled by Flutter that if I'm changing one element, then only that element should be refreshed or hot reloaded. So this saves us time, the compilation time and the result time. So this is basically the difference of those. Yeah, please. How easy to learn Flutter concept programming? So you are in electronics, so that's a very good question, and that's really making sense to me, because if you are from other background, right? If you are not from IT and you want to start from IT, you just have to go with the very basics. As I explained in the earlier as well, you just pick up HTML, then you pick up JavaScript or Python or C language. So there are three options. Okay, you can pick up anything. So if I write it down here, C language, uh, okay, or maybe Python, or maybe JavaScript. You can pick up any of these things along or maybe with the first you do HTML, because even if you are a core backend developer, it doesn't make sense that you don't know HTML. This is the core of IT. So if you know the HTML, this is good. That open your senses. And learning HTML do not require anything. If you have not even touched any of the programming language, you can directly jump in. If you have notepad in your system, that's enough. You don't need anything. Notepad and open to the any of the Udemy course or YouTube channel like basics of HTML. Do that first, and after that pick up any language, maybe the JavaScript, maybe the Python, or maybe a C language. I would say easiest one would be the Python. But if you do not like it, and if you have already decided that you just want to go with the front end development, not with the back end, then you pick up this JavaScript because it will help you. Python is good, should be known to everyone, but if you are stick to the front end, you don't want to explain any other thing, you can start with JavaScript. Learn some basics of this, like what are variables, what are classes, how can you create the methods. It will not take you more than a week to get yourself saying that you are a beginner in JavaScript. If you are giving it 2 or 3 hours on the daily basis, that's enough, more than enough. Once you are good with this, you can pick up the Flutter, Ionic framework, React, anything. It and there are lots of resources, there are lots of other tutorials available over the internet. You can start it, and it's up to your speed. Maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, you will be you will be able to say that you can start a career with your with the IT in the front end at least. So if you do not have any other questions, probably I would say one thing at the end, that as Pooja ma'am already explained, that I'm taking the corporate sessions and trainings as well. So I generally take it for students and the professionals as well. And I do have a good team. One of the members is already here in here, who is Vinod Chauhan, who is also taking care of full stack things. So we have lots of other courses. Maybe ma'am will introduce you about those. So we have 2 3 other plans, like the full stack development and the front end development. Front end includes React.js, Angular, Flutter, whatever you want to take. And the full stack includes Node.js, MongoDB connectivity, GraphQL, then creating the APIs, interacting with those, including all things like Bootstrap, front end development, HTML, CSS, jQuery, everything. Okay, so you can start with that as well if you want. Um, Yeah, Pooja, I think it's good.
Yeah.
We are done.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you so much for such a wonderful session. Hope all will get maximum from this. So this is the trend of BCIT to continue such sessions. So in future, we are also conducting more sessions like this. So for any information regarding this, you can contact us. Now we have shared the feedback form also in the chat window. So all are requested to fill this feedback form. And even if you have any query regarding the admission in MCA program, you can contact us anytime. So thank you all for making this session a successful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for listening it, and I hope you will go with the resources which I will share, and definitely you can start with this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm dropping.